Hi there, I'm Marcelyn Bailey of ML Bailey Consultants Incorporated, and you are inside of the Happy Half Hour Nighttime Live. We're talking about sleep. With all that's going on with the pandemic and the pressures that we're all under, sleep has been getting overlooked. We're being told to wash our hands, to stay 6 feet away from others in social distancing. We're also being told to use antibacterial wipes to wipe things down and to clean things. But we're not talking about sleep and the importance of sleep in maintaining our immune system. So that's why we're here, because we want to share tips that you can use to help you to sleep if you're having trouble sleeping. Now, I must say that this is not psychotherapy. Hey, Tiara, it's good to see you. Good to see you, sis. I want to say that this is not psychotherapy or mental health counseling. If you're experiencing extreme emotional or mental symptoms, I urge you to seek out care with your primary care physician or a local mental health professional. Also, if you have thoughts of self-harm or if you have thoughts of harming someone else, you should go to your nearest emergency receiving facility, or call 911. So we're going to talk about bedtime routines today. And the title of this episode is, If You Can Get a Child to Sleep, You Can Get Yourself to Sleep. Now, when new parents have a new baby, one of the first things they do is try to put that baby on a routine. They put things in place, they do certain things at certain times, and the whole goal is so that baby will go to sleep and will sleep through the night. Well, we did that when we had our children. Our girls are grown now, but we worked really hard to get them on a routine. And even when they started school, back in elementary school, we had our routine down. We would pick them up from after school, we'd come home, we'd have dinner. While we were preparing dinner, they would work on their homework. Once they were finished with their homework, we would eat, sit down and eat. Then they would have to go to their room, take their bath, get their clothes out for the next day. And while they were doing that, we would sign whatever forms they needed signed. We would also look over their homework, right? We had a set bedtime for them. It started at 7 o'clock. So between 7 and 7:30, when they were very young elementary school students, they had to be in bed. Then it was 8 to 8:30. They had to be in bed. And then it was 9 to 9:30. Even when they were in high school, they had an established bedtime because we wanted to make sure they had the energy they needed to do well in school. Well, after they took their bath, after they got their clothes out and we checked to make sure everything matched, we would go in their room, we would say prayers, we would read books, one book for each child, and sometimes we'd tell them a bedtime story. We had two themes for our bedtime stories. One was the adventures of Soccer Girl, and the other was the adventures of Karate Girl. That's because they were doing karate and soccer at that time. Once we read or told our bedtime story and said our prayers, then it was lights out. By the time we did all of that, our girls would be ready to go to sleep. And yes, they would sleep through the night. One of the things I want to suggest to you as an adult is that when it comes to routines, we all have routines that we do throughout the day. That's what we do. We have routines. We wake up at the same time in the morning. we do our hygiene, we brush our teeth, wash our face. Some of us take showers, we dress, we leave the house at the same time. Once we leave the house, we may stop at our favorite restaurant, get our coffee, our tea, or our pastry. At the same time, we see the same people, and they get the same order, just as we get the same order. Then, after work, we may stop at Publix and go on Wednesday because that's the day the sales start. The thing I'm trying to say is we all have routines. And I want you to drop in the chat box, do you have a daily routine that you can think of? Just say, put a yes in the chat box that, yeah, I have a daily routine, because I know that I do. What's your daily routine? Just drop it in the chat box that, yes, I have a daily routine if you have one. My routine is basically what I've outlined to you just now. When it comes to evening, when it's time to wind down, that's where I think adults have the concerns. Because there you go, Tiara, you have a daily routine. Yeah. So many of us, we do. We have a daily routine. Our nighttime routine, however, probably consists of, if we have children, making sure, hey, Rosanna King, it's good to see you. Good to see you. When we have children, we get them in bed, and then we start taking care of the things of the house. We may be paying bills, we may be cleaning, we may be doing all of those things. And many of those things are counterproductive when it comes to sleep. So we want to make sure that we have a routine that encourages us to sleep and sleep through the night. Now, the first thing that you want to keep in mind when you're establishing your bedtime routine is to have a consistent time for going to bed. You want to keep in mind that the body starts preparing us to go to sleep 2 hours before we actually lie down. So, for example, if your bedtime is around 9 o'clock, then around 7, your body starts to build. The melatonin starts to build, serotonin starts to do its thing, and you start to feel the effects of getting sleepy. Now, you know you're sleepy because some people get clumsy. It's hard. You may bump into walls or stub your toe. It may be hard to remember things. You're going to feel like you have sand in your eyes. What adults do when we start feeling sleepy, we tend to ignore. Hey, thank you for the heart. We tend to ignore that. And what we'll do is we'll just keep going. When children start feeling sleepy, the adults tell them, well, just lay down and go to sleep. We encourage them to do that, but we don't do it for ourselves. We keep going. So we want to keep in mind that our body is going to start preparing us 2 hours before our actual bedtime to get ready to go to sleep, and we'll be starting to become sleepy. The other thing you want to keep in mind in terms of setting a nighttime routine is having a transition, an official transition. And I call this a transition from work to home to me. Now, we do have a transition from work to home. There are certain things that we do when we get home that we do consistently. Like we'll put our briefcase or our bag in a certain place, or we'll put our purse in a certain place. We'll take off our clothes, put on some lounging clothes, put on our jeans, t-shirt, and then we'll do whatever we do at home, right? That's the transition from work to home. But at what point do you transition from home to me, where the focus is on you, where you're doing self-care, where you're taking care of you, not concerned about the household, not concerned about the other people in your home, but where you're focused on yourself? Now, think of when if you were a construction worker. My grandfather was a construction worker. And a construction worker, when they get home, probably the first thing they would do is take a shower to get all of that dirt and all of the concrete and whatever is on them off of them. They take a shower and clean off. Adults need to have a routine where they can, if not literally, figuratively, take off their work, leave their work at work. Now, that could be taking a shower or a leisurely bath. Some people say that if they do that at night, it does not help them to sleep, and I understand that. But for others, taking a nice warm shower or a nice warm bath may help you to relax. The other thing is you might want to listen to some soft music. Someone told me today that they put on some Norah Jones, and Norah Jones has some, hey Janelle, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Someone told me that they put on some Norah Jones, and Norah Jones sings some very bluesy kinds of music, and it's very soothing. You might want to listen to some soothing music. You might also want to have just a glass of wine or something, not all the time, but occasionally, just to help you to have your me time. The other thing is light exercise and stretching. Now, I have put into my adult bedtime stories some light stretching because that helps us to loosen those muscles, get some of that tightness out of our bodies, which encourages us to relax and go to sleep. So, in addition to, let me go over some of the things that I've covered. I've talked about having a consistent routine and how it's important for adults to have a consistent routine, especially at bedtime. Hey, Mia, I know I love Norah Jones too, girl. I love me some Norah Jones. We've also talked about having a consistent bedtime because our bodies start to prepare us for sleep 2 hours before our bedtime. The other thing we talked about was having a transition from work to home and then from home to me. And that's where we talked about that me time, having time to yourself where you're focusing on your own self-care. The third thing that I want to bring out as a part of an effective bedtime routine for adults is to drop your worries. Now, one of the things I think that keeps adults up are our worries. And we talked about that in the last live stream. We know that when we're concerned about things, it's on our mind and we're thinking constantly. Some people have said that it's like I can't shut my mind off. This is the part of the bedtime routine that I want to encourage you to drop your worries. Now, that is true, isn't it, Janelle? The brain your mind is trying to work it out, figure it out, fix it, and it keeps you up. So when you drop your worries, you can do that in a number of ways. And some of the suggestions that I have is through prayer or meditation. That works for some people. Finding a book to read, an inspirational work, also where you have encouraging words, positive words that you can focus on when you're going or as you're going to sleep. The other thing is you can always read your holy book, whether that's the Bible or the Quran or whatever your holy book is, reading those words and allowing those words to feed your spirit, so to speak. Also, focusing your attention on any positive statement, anything that you've read or heard that resonates with you. Another thing that I suggest to people is to write your worries down. Write down the things that concern you. It can be in the form of a paragraph. It can be in the form of bullets, but write it down. Just get it all out. Everything. Just get it all out and put it to the side. And you can always tell yourself, I can pick this up in the morning. And that's a very important piece, because remember, I talked about how your mind just keeps going and going and going. If you write it down, put it aside, thank you, put it aside, you can always pick it up tomorrow. You can pick it up the next day. And when you're trying to go to sleep and those thoughts keep going through your head, you can tell yourself, look, I've put that aside and I will pick it up in the morning. Last but not least, make a to-do list. Write down the things that you need to get done or accomplished the next day, because those are other thoughts that keep us up. We're thinking about what we have to do. Oh yeah, I have to take the car to the shop so I can get my oil changed. Oh yeah, and I have to pick up my daughter from band practice and I have to be there at a certain time. Oh, shoot, I forgot to email my boss and I'm going to need to do that. Put those on paper and pick them up in the morning. I left one thing out that I think is also very important: expressing gratitude. I believe that it is so very important for us to express gratitude before we lie down to go to sleep, because we infuse our minds and our emotions with good thoughts. And when we feel good and when we're feeling positive, it's much easier to go to sleep. Do you have any questions, any comments? It's good to see you all. I have two other therapists on the call on our live stream. Dr. Mia Wilson and Janelle Holland. They are exceptional therapists, and I'm glad they've joined us as well. So, I mentioned that I have thank you. Thanks, Janelle. This is great information, Janelle said. I've written and recorded adult bedtime stories, and these adult bedtime stories, I mean that, Mia. Mia said thank you, and I mean that sincerely. The adult bedtime stories that I have I believe that they're very effective because they incorporate relaxation, mindfulness, guided imagery. And you can actually try them out. As I said in our first episode on Wednesday, I gave everyone who signed up a gift in that they received my Happy People Sleep Well 7-day series. And once you signed up, it starts the very next evening, and it has all kinds of tips and ideas for you to use to help you to go to sleep. As a bonus to that, I also gave those who signed up my Get Through the Day Without Losing It 7-day challenge. And once you finish the Happy People Sleep Well, because it goes for 7 days, you can then start the Get Through the Day Without Losing It challenge. Well, in addition to that, I also provided a link for you all to listen to an adult bedtime story that I have available. And I'm going to give you a link to that because I'd really like to hear what you think about it. Again, it incorporates relaxation, mindfulness, and guided imagery. And it's actually used this whole process of using relaxation, mindfulness, and guided imagery is also used by the military to help the soldiers to fall asleep. So I'm going to give you the link where you can listen to an adult bedtime story. It is www.happyhalfhour.club/ABSS2020. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Adia Bailey, talking about the adult bedtime story. It's helped you. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, you are a stress college student. Yes, you are. And she was actually one of the first persons to try out the bedtime stories. I have had a number of people try them out. So again, that link is www.happyhalfhour.club/ABSS2020, and that stands for Adult Bedtime Stories Shop 2020. So I'd like for you to just take a listen and give me some feedback. I'd love to hear that, and I'd like to hear especially if it helps you to fall asleep. So in our few minutes remaining, let's do some relaxation. So if you just get into a comfortable position, if you're sitting in a chair, just have your feet fall flat on the floor. And I'd like for you to just sit comfortably in your chair. Allow your hands and your arms to fall in your lap. And just breathe. You can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. You don't have to change your breathing in any way. Just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just continue to breathe naturally and normally as you always do. And as you breathe, I'd like for you to bring your attention and your awareness to your breathing, to the breath. Notice it as it goes in through your nostrils, to the back of your throat, down your windpipe, into your lungs. And then as you exhale, notice the breath as it leaves your lungs and it flows out of your mouth. Just focus on your breath. You don't have to focus on anything else, just focus on your breath as you breathe in and breathe out. Now bring your attention and your awareness to how the breath feels as it goes into your nose. Is the air cool? Does it tickle? Does it flow smoothly? How does it feel? Just notice. Just pay attention on purpose. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to change it. Just notice. And as you're noticing the breath as it flows in through your nose, notice how the inside of your nose feels. Just focus your attention and your awareness on the inside of your nose. Now I'd like for you to move your attention and your awareness to your face, to your forehead. How does your forehead feel? Do you notice that it's smooth? Is it furrowed? Is there any tension? You don't have to change it. Just notice it, just for a moment. You don't have to judge it, just notice. And as you notice your forehead and you continue to breathe naturally and normally, bring your attention and your awareness to your temples. This is where we hold a lot of stress. So your temples may be tight. They may feel tense. If you feel any tension there, allow that tension to soften. Allow your temples to soften and to just flow. Allow the tension to flow away from your temples. Now bring your attention and your awareness to your jawline. And notice if there's any tension in your jawline. If so, just allow your jaw to fall naturally. You don't have to hold it in any particular position or in any particular place. Just allow it to soften as well. Now bring your attention and your awareness down to your neck and your shoulders. Again, this is a place where we hold a lot of tension. Just notice if there is any tension, any tightness. And if there is, allow your shoulders to soften and to just fall naturally and easy. Continue to breathe naturally and normally as you allow the tension to flow from your forehead, from your temples, from your jawline, from your neck and your shoulders, away from your body. And now, bring your attention back to your breath. Just focus on your breath, breathing in and out, naturally and normally. Continue to focus on your breath just for a few more seconds. Now, I'd like for you to move your fingers. Begin to move your arms just slightly. If your eyes were closed, you may open your eyes slowly. Bring your attention and your awareness back to your room where you're sitting. Begin to move your shoulders. You can roll them backwards, or you can roll them forward. Or if you like, just alternate. And slowly bring your awareness back to your room. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Please let your friends and let anyone you'd like to know that we are meeting on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. for the next several weeks. And we're going to continue to talk about sleep and getting to sleep, because we know that happy people sleep well. I'm Marcelyn Bailey. I'll be sharing sleep tips, relaxation tips to get you through the day without losing it. And I'm so glad that you joined us tonight. That's it for now. And as always, take good care.